Before we talk about compassion, there's another topic that's central to Buddhism that we should really talk about first, which is suffering. Now, suffering is a topic that is not great for YouTube algorithm, but it is really important in the development of a Dharma practitioner. Understanding the different kinds of suffering, understanding your own internal experience of suffering helps you guide your path and helps you understand from an internal perspective what is the best thing to do next, rather than relying on external validation and external instructions. So the purpose here is to lay the groundwork for a discussion on compassion and how to alleviate suffering. But first, we really need to talk about suffering first. So if you're interested in Buddha Dharma practice and study, you've come to the right place. My name is David Piccarello, and I make YouTube videos about Buddhism without a lot of jargon. So suffering as a topic of practice and study is central to Buddhism. Why is it important? It's important because it is, in some ways, the prime motivator for why we do things. Right? When you are angry, it makes you take some sort of action. When you desire something, it makes you take some sort of action. If you ignore something, then that thing can exist and you're just completely oblivious to it. So what we do and what we don't do is very closely tied to suffering. And what we do today is what we're probably going to be doing tomorrow. If we're kind of like an angry person today, everything that comes up causes us anger, then that is the kind of person that we're probably going to be tomorrow. And so in some ways, the practice of meditation is examining those things, befriending those things, and then understanding what are those things that are causing you suffering. When something outside of you causes you pain, say somebody says something mean to you, right? You have an internal reaction that might be a certain amount of whatever your habitual reaction is. Like they say something mean to you, maybe your habitual reaction is to debate them. Somebody says something mean to you, maybe your first reaction is to sort of like say, yeah, I kind of deserve that. Maybe your first reaction is to start swinging with your fists. So why do you have that internal reaction? What is the mechanism that is happening inside your body? What's the mechanism that's happening inside your emotions? What are the mental stories, that you have with whatever that thing is? So typically in Tibetan Buddhism, there are a set of psychological states that are taught most popularly. This is not to say that there are like 6 states and those are the only states or anything like that, for sure. But it's just the way that people teach it. So there are a number of psychological states that you live in throughout your day, right? And let's talk about them a little bit in terms of what kind of negative emotions you might have and how they might come out as your kind of external experiences. So an internal experience might be that you have a lot of pride. And so you believe that you are better at other people at XYZ. You believe that you, have a certain amount of privilege. You believe that you should have these things, right? And then, because the way the world works, there will be a time when those things are not true. And if you identify yourself with that experience of being above others or having that privilege, if that is a part of your person and then that thing stops, you will experience a lot of suffering because your sense of self is literally being attacked. They say due to pride, people experience the suffering of change and decay because what they believed about themselves in the past is no longer true. And when that happens, it's an attack on yourself. There are people who are fundamentally jealous. Trungpa Rinpoche used to say like a panoramic jealousy. But you can just say somebody who wants what other people have. So what's the fundamental to this is a desire to have something else. So you look at somebody else and there's, no matter how much you have right now, it's never enough. You always need to have more. It is a form of desire that is never sated. And you can think of somebody who maybe is a billionaire who gets their first $500 million, their first $1 billion. Now, they couldn't spend all that money if they wanted to, but yet they need more. And they're always being defeated because their desire is never quenched. So whatever they wanted $5 billion, but they only got one. And so they've been thoroughly defeated. They got 1/5 of what they wanted, and now they need that $5 billion. So due to that, they're just constantly being defeated. And that is a form of suffering. If they were happy with $1 million and not $1 billion, they would have a perfectly fine life. But instead, they continue to ramp up their desire, and as if it's a virtue. Just kind of sad, actually. And then you have a more general sense of desire or clinging that you can say is more around passion. It's the kind of desire that can be satiated. It's not as strong, but it maybe is more about pulling things. It may be more about like territory. So what I mean to say is when you have like a desire for a person, like in a sexual way, you want to like this kind of desire that I'm talking about now is one that brings them in. You want to like bring them into your territory. You know, if you want a lot of friends, you're like, okay, I'm going to bring these friends into this friend group. So it's not just sexual desire. It's like bringing these things. If you're, collecting Pokemon, it's like I need like literally, you got to catch them all or whatever the tagline is there, is literally tapping into this one thing because, unlike the previous type of desire, where you could actually go out and get all the Pokemon cards, if you spent a lot of money, if you had $1 billion, you could spend all that $1 billion in getting every single Pokemon card, and then you would have succeeded, right? And then that desire would have been sated. But the problem with desire is that you don't always get what you want. There are a few problems with desire, but one, you don't always get what you want. And sometimes when you get it, it's not what you expected. And then lastly, once you do get it and you do have it, it's impermanent and it will eventually go away. So whether it's a brand new car, it's not going to be brand new for very long, right? You can do a lot of work to keep it looking brand new, but somebody dings it in the parking lot, or you get into a fender bender, or just time is guaranteed to make that car a not new car anymore. And eventually it will break down given enough time. So desire eventually is definitely going to bring suffering. And the next psychological state is ignorance, a form of ignoring where sometimes, if you just need to get something done and you put on your blinders and you are just going to do it. And no matter what happens in the rest of the universe, it doesn't matter. You're just going to put your head down and get it done. Another example might be that meme where the cartoon character is sitting in a burning room and he's just like, it's fine, everything's okay. And it's really not fine, and it's really not okay, and that cartoon character is in danger and really should get out of the room. But this is a really handy tool sometimes to just ignore things when they just aren't what you want to be in the universe right now. The suffering that comes along with that is that this is slightly a dangerous world, right? Like that guy in the, who's in a burning house. Like, you need to do something about it sometimes. You need to take some action. And the practice of just ignoring things will lead to inaction more often than not. And so you lose responsiveness to your world. The next type of psychological state is a kind of desire where the person who consumes the thing that they desire is actually injured by it, and they can't get enough of it and they can't actually consume it. So a good example of this might be somebody who is like an alcoholic, where actually by drinking alcohol they're ruining their lives. So it's sort of like differentiating from somebody who's like jealous and could end up becoming a billionaire because what they see out there, they want, and whatever is out there they just can't get it. Whereas the person who is greedy in this case is like consuming and consuming and consuming, and it is actually destroying them. And so maybe another, and this is a psychological state. This isn't like like an intellectual exercise. So if you ever feel like, let's say if you ever play a video game and you feel yourself like, I know I've played video games for so long that I've actually felt my like just feeling myself getting sick, and my the only way I could describe it is like my life force is being drained, right? Because I'm just playing, not taking care of myself, and so it's almost like the thing that you desire is destroying you. Gambling is like this, video games, alcohol, all these things probably, scrolling TikTok, just any vertical scrolling, where you you're not actually sated. Maybe you enjoy like one or two videos, but you just keep on watching. You're not even necessarily enjoying videos anymore, but you're just looking for that next sort of hit of dopamine or whatever. And so this is a psychological state, and it's a little bit obvious what this, where the suffering is there. It's that the thing itself that you desire, that you need, is actually the thing causing you suffering. And another psychological state, the sixth and last one, is anger. And anger at the very root is about, in this framework, is about generating a boundary, but instead of where all these desire ones want to bring things in, the anger sort of wants to push it away. And so when somebody or something crosses this boundary that you don't want in this boundary, whether it's physical, emotional, psychological, mental, then you get angry and you try to push it away. This ends up causing anger, and you know what it feels like to actually get angry. Like, it causes you suffering. It burns you. The experience of anger and the building of these boundaries will also, for every wall that you put up to keep something out, you're also keeping out those things that you do want. Even if putting up those walls means being judgmental or condescending, or, just some sort of weird psychological quirk that you use to keep people from creating intimate relationships with you, you're sort of cutting off the world, you're cutting off possibilities, and you end up kind of, in a sense, being tortured by the world, because anything that you want in the world will need to come through the barriers that you have put up. So you put up a wall, and then you ask the world to come through the wall, and they're like, no, and then you're like, you get angry, and then so you put up more walls, and then you're like, please come through these walls. And so this is not literal, but it is a state of experience. And I think the thing that I wanted to point out here is that anger can be self-fueling to the point where it actually changes your perception. And this is actually true of all the psychological states, so that might be a good transition into the next bit. All of these psychological states can sort of feed on each other and then change the way that you perceive the world. So if you're angry at somebody and you perceive them as a threat today, right? Maybe they were a threat today because they were in a bad mood. But tomorrow, now when you interact with them, you're going to think that person's a threat. You're going to put up a wall. You're going to say, okay, you're a threat. They're going to understand that, and they're going to say, okay, well, if this person is putting up walls, I'm going to put up walls. And, oh, that person's putting up walls. That person's pushing me away. I'm going to push them away. And suddenly the whole world is this like unfair world where everybody's pushing back at you and you have no idea why. And it's one little interaction at a time where you sort of self-perpetuate this anger. Becoming more aware of this for yourself is really important, especially for the development of compassion. So yeah, next time I'm going to talk more specifically about compassion, and how we can understand these psychological states. We can open up our heart a little bit, look out into the world, and change the way that we see the world. So I'll get into that next time. Thank you.